when do you know is a good time to take something that's a side hustle and turn it into a full-fledged business? Or should things that we make a side hustle even become a business unless we're seeing some kind of massive change?
Hmm. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with having a side hustle and keeping it as a side hustle, because a lot of people like their, full-time job, or the benefits or the pay, or just, so much more than maybe their side hustle is generating. So there's nothing wrong with doing both. But if your goal is to turn the side hustle into a full-time business, I would recommend waiting to jump ship until at least your side hustle is earning at least the same amount as your full-time job, or at least enough to pay your bills, for sure. Because some people, they'll just up and quit their job to start a business. And I mean, I guess sometimes that can work. It really puts, the fire under your butt, basically, to get.
I gotta eat tonight, so I gotta do something.
Yeah. But for me, it's not the route I did or would recommend. So yeah, I would say if your goal is to make it a full-time business, then at least make sure you're making enough, and probably for at least a year, maybe 2, just to make, because maybe you have a really good year, but then, let's say COVID or whatever happens, and now you
switches over and it's unexpected. I guess that's, and as a follow-up question, I would ask this: is a side hustle off the bat already, should you treat your side hustle off the bat as a business, or should it just be like, oh, it's just a fun thing that I'm doing, I don't need to take all these things into consideration? Or off the bat, once you start doing it, just start thinking like, okay, this is a business, even if you may not take it as a full-fledged business, but you treat it as a business. In other words, you take all the aspects of it as seriously as you would a business.
I mean, if you're wanting to make it into a business at some point, then definitely treat it like a business. But even if you're not, I think it doesn't hurt to treat it like a business. Because and for all you know, maybe you start out thinking, oh, this is just a side hustle, it'll always be a side hustle. But maybe it takes off so much that you change your opinion and what you want to do. So I think treating it like a business never hurts, and that's probably what I would recommend. But I guess everyone's a little different.
Yeah, that's true. I guess some people want to keep it a leisure thing, as like, I don't want to take it too seriously. I enjoy doing this thing. If I start looking at all this other stuff, I might lose my mind trying to figure all this stuff out. So I just want to keep it simple, straightforward, and not complicate things too much. So I want to ask, this is like the final question, and it's like a hypothesis. If you were starting a new business today, what would be the one place that you will automatically go to as like, okay, I need to start this off and kick it off the ground? If, with knowing what you know now, what would be the first thing that you do?
Well, the first thing I would do, because I think one of the problems I had was shiny object syndrome, and I wanted to try this, that, and the other thing. But when you're trying 10 different things, then only, you can only dedicate 10% of your time and attention to each thing, versus if you're trying one thing, then that's 100% of your time, attention, money, whatever. So I would say, you have to think about it. Is it something that you can see yourself doing long term? Is it something you enjoy? Is it something you're good at? Or is it just something that you've heard about that seems kind of interesting, that you would like to try it out? So yeah, I would say do that and make sure that it's something, because I feel like for me, I wasted so much time, like over a decade, trying a bunch of different things. But at the same time, maybe I had to try those to get to where I am, or whatever. The journey, I guess, is different for everybody, but yeah, if it's something that you're not sure about, or it sounds interesting, I wouldn't even bother. I would go with something that
will totally work,
mm-hmm.
or that you're at least passionate about.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I would recommend. And then of course, getting the website and email list going.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's important to learn and educate yourself in the beginning through books, podcasts, courses, and whatnot, and to continue doing that, of course. But if you're spending all your time doing that and not implementing what you're learning, then it becomes pointless. So for me, and that was one big problem I had. So now for every hour I spend learning, I try to spend another hour implementing. So yeah, I would recommend that too, to not get too hung up in the education
research
area
of trying to fix. One thing I love to say is like, because a lot of times one thing I notice for a lot of people, and even for myself sometimes, is there's this fear of kind of failing, where we're like, I want it to be perfect, I want it to be exactly like this, and we end up holding ourselves back because we never actually chase after that thing, because we keep on doing all kinds of research and going in the circles of never like actually implementing any of the things we learned. So I started saying to a lot of people, just telling them like, fail your way to success. Like, it's okay to make mistakes, just keep failing until you get good at that one thing, and then you try something else and you get good at that thing again, and it keeps improving. So rather than being afraid of the failure aspect of it, just fail to success. Every time you fail, it just shows that I'm taking another step to succeed in this thing. So I started saying, failing my way to success is how I become successful at whatever it is that I want to do. And so that I think is one thing that holds a lot of us back from like taking that step to trying something new, or to even doing the things that we are passionate about and we really enjoy to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or like do just-in-time learning, which means like learn the thing that you need to do now and then implement it, and then learn the next, instead of learning all of the things.
Yeah.
Because then by the time you actually even need that thing, you're gonna have forgotten it.
Yeah. That's literally me. It's like it's like right at the time I want to do something, it's like, how do I do this? Oh, YouTube. It's like, then I started learning about it and figuring it out. And I think the ironic thing is, like, for most things, that's actually how we handle it, is doing just-in-time learning. But for some reason, when it comes to actually like putting it into practice for like something that we're passionate about, we take a whole different route with it. And it's like, but why is that switch up? Why do we have that switch up? Why do we confuse ourselves like that?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think it has something to do with our entrepreneurial brain or something. It's like, maybe because we get into the hamster wheel of learning because we just love learning, I guess, and seeing what all is possible, and we just kind of get trapped in that process.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. It's just so interesting, the different ways that we approach very similar things, and we just we remove ourselves based on what that thing is. It's interesting sometimes, just like thinking through like, but why am I doing it this way when I did it that way, and it would give me anyway. But it's just, the whole thing is very, very interesting.
I hope you enjoyed that little snippet of the Rambling Mind podcast. If you want more of the Rambling Mind podcast, or if you want to listen to the whole episode that you just heard, go check it out on any podcast listening platform, whether that be Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Stitcher. I could go on, but you guys already know which podcast you love to use to listen to. So go check it out. Link down in the description as well. I'm going to catch y'all later. Peace.